Good morning, it's your boy, Jalen Perkins, aka New Rain, and this is Black Coffee Devotions, where we give you the truth with no sugar added. Today, man, we're going to be in 1 Peter chapter 1, and we're also going to touch Titus chapter 2, and this is what I want to talk about today. I want to discuss the reason we live right, the reason we strive to live right, the reason we strive to live godly lives. Why is it that the Christian, the one who bears the name of Christ, why is it that he attempts to live a certain way? Why is it that he abstains from certain things? Oh no, bro, I don't watch stuff like that. Oh no, I try not to listen to stuff like that. Right? I try not to read things like that. I don't want to go hang out with y'all in these different environments. Why is it that we do that? Is it, do we think we better than people? Are we following a set of rules that's been handed down? Are we being overly religious? Are we being too spiritual? We're going to talk about those questions today, and hopefully we're going to answer that, because growing up, a lot of us that grew up in the church, we heard the do's and don'ts, right? We heard, hey, turn that, don't watch that, turn that music off. I know I did, and we heard the do's and don'ts. But I don't think a lot of us understood the why behind the do's and don'ts. Why are we striving to live in a certain fashion? So let's start with 1 Peter chapter 1. And this is Peter. He had just got finished telling the people that he's writing to, his audience, that what the prophets had been forecasting long ago about how the Christ would come and how he would suffer for the sins of the people. He just got finished describing that to them and how that applies to us today in our time. Now listen to what he says. He says this: "Therefore gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and rest your hope fully on the grace that is to be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. As obedient children, not conforming yourselves to the former lust as in your ignorance, but as he who called you is holy, you also must be holy in all your conduct." We're going to come back to that. Let's keep going. "Because it is written, be holy, for I am holy. And if you call on the Father, who without partiality judges according to each one's work, conduct yourselves throughout the time of your stay here in fear." And that fear is a reverence. "Knowing," and this is the bacon and eggs of today's topic here. "Knowing that you were redeemed, not with corruptible things like silver or gold, from your aimless conduct received by the tradition from your fathers, but with the precious blood of Christ, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot." But with the precious blood of Christ, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot. Okay, so Peter gives us the reason. He gives us the answers to the questions I asked at the beginning of this video. Why do we strive to live right? Why does the believer aim to live godly? Why does he get up and fight his flesh every single day and put it in subjection that it may obey the will of God? The first point Peter gives us here, he reminds us that we're children of God. Look at verse 14. "As obedient children, not conforming yourselves to the former lust as in your ignorance." Listen, we've come to the understanding that what Christ did for us was not give us a ticket to heaven only, right? What Christ did for us, like John chapter 1 says, to all who did receive him, to them he gave the power to become what? Children of God. We are children of God, and as children of God, we kind of act like our Father, right? We want to be like our dad. We want to imitate and emulate and fashion our behavior after his. We want to be like our Father. Peter says, y'all children, as obedient children, don't conform yourselves to the way you was acting before you had this understanding of who you are. That's what he says, as in your ignorance. What does he mean? There was a point in time when you didn't know you were a child of God. Or if you did, if you always had that belief, because a lot of people, we're all children of God. Okay, that's cool. A lot of people do believe that, which is not true, by the way. But a lot of people were still ignorant of what that indicates, what that means to be a child of God, and what it requires from us. And so he says, as obedient children, that's point number one. You're a child of God. So the first reason we aim to live a certain way is because we're children. The second, well, this kind of goes in with the first. Holiness is required of us. Look at this in verse 15. But as he who called you is holy, you also be holy in all your conduct, because it is written. In other words, this is what God is demanding. This is what he's saying. Be holy, for I am holy. And he got that out of the Old Testament. Be holy, for I am holy. God's purpose with Israel was to ransom them from Egypt, to go get a people, rescue them, the people called by his name, and they would be his people. They would be his people to broadcast to the rest of the world. What does it look like when a people submit themselves under the one true God? We are to be the people of God. We are fashioned in his image. We are redeemed and called out of the world to impact the world. And we can't do that if we're being like the world. And so the second reason we are called to be holy is because our Father commanded us to. Because he has a purpose for us. And because he is holy, we are holy as well as his people. As his people. Verse 17, and if you call on the Father who without partiality judges according to each one's work, conduct yourselves throughout the time of your stay here in fear. The third reason we are to live holy is because there is a coming judgment. There is a coming judgment. Peter says, if you call on him as Father, if you call on God as Father, you need to understand that he's going to judge everybody without partiality. That means without favoritism, without, showing somebody else, I'm going to show him kindness, but I'm going to show you something else. No, it don't work like that. Every person, you're going to stand before God. He's going to judge us fairly and truthfully. And we have to have this in the front and back of our minds, understanding that, man, God calls and demands holiness from me. And one day I'm going to have to give account for it. Let me conduct, the rest of my time here in fear, in reverence, in there's a certain level of godly fear that every person should walk around with. Yeah. A lot of people walk around with fear of the police. A lot of people walk around with a healthy respect of judges or the judicial system. We need to have a healthy reverence and respect for God. The third reason we ought to aim to be holy is because there is a coming judgment. Let's keep going. And this, like I said, is the bacon and eggs, as I like to say, of today's topic. The fourth and final reason, well, I'm sure there's more reasons, but we're covering four. The fourth reason why we strive to live righteous lives, listen to this, knowing that you were not redeemed with corruptible things like silver or gold from your aimless conduct, received by tradition from your fathers, but with the precious blood of Christ, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot. What is Peter saying here? The fourth reason to live holy is because we actually appreciate and honor and love the price that was paid for our redemption. Yeah. Peter says, don't you understand that you was redeemed, not with money? He didn't go buy us back and purchase us and purchase our salvation with money or stuff that can be corrupted. The price of our redemption cost the Lord Jesus his life. Salvation is free for us, but it costs the Lord Jesus Christ everything. The fourth reason that we aim and strive for holiness is out of appreciation of the cross, out of appreciation for the love of God, out of the understanding that we didn't deserve a thing from God. That all of us, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way, Isaiah 53, but the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. And as we look at the cross, it's all of us, black, white, Mexican, Indian, Chinese. We stand at Calvary's Hill and we behold the Lord Jesus Christ hanging on that tree for us, shedding his blood for our atonement, that we could have a right relationship with God. As we all stand before this, we all with bowed heads and holding, each other's hands, we weep. We weep in appreciation. We weep out of, just a godly sorrow. And as we understand the price that was paid, that we could have a right relationship with God, man. So the four reasons, let's go over them one more time. Excuse me. The number one reason that Peter gives in 1 Peter. We're children of God. You're a child of God. Number 2, because it has been commanded of us, be holy, for I am holy. We are his people. We represent him, so we need to be like him. Number 3, there is a coming judgment. God is going to judge us. He is a holy, just God, and just judges, they have to judge truly and fairly. And if we understand this, we're going to understand, man, I need to strive for holiness in my life. And understand, we don't do this on our own power. And the 4th and final reason is because we look at the cross and we appreciate the price that was paid for us. And so we strive for holiness. Let y'all go meditate on these scriptures, on these verses. It's 1 Peter, starting at verse 13, going down to verse 18. Meditate on them, get them in your hearts, get them in your minds and in your spirits. And I was going to touch Titus, but I'm going to save that for tomorrow. But this is Black Coffee Devotions. No sugar added whatsoever. I'm giving you straight truth as we go through the word together. Y'all, man, have a good day. Have a good Thursday. I love each and every one of y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out.